In my previous life, to repay my parents' kindness, Shannon was the first to save me from the fire, abandoning his own younger sister. Afterward, he watched helplessly as the charred body was wrapped in white cloth and carried away, then knelt before me. He said, "Xiaonian is gone. Will you be my sister instead?" I agreed through tears. I thought it was redemption born from mutual loss, clinging to each other for comfort. He gave me all his favoritism too, but in the days that followed, though I wasn't Xiaonian, I lived as Xiaonian. Gradually, I hid my true self, learning to walk like her, play the piano like her, top exams like her. Just because my brother said, "This is how a sister should be," I resolutely pretended for 10 years, until the day I was in a car accident, left unrecognizable, and he held my lifeless body, calling out, "Xiaonian, you always cared so much about your looks." Only then did I realize that from the day my younger sister was carried away, I became his eternal substitute in his eyes. In this second life, I personally pushed Xiaonian out of the fire, hearing my brother hold her and sob uncontrollably. Thank goodness, this time it wasn't you. At that moment, I just really missed Mom and Dad, only they loved me the most. Hello everyone. Welcome to Glimmer of Love. At the age of 12, I attended my parents' funeral. Relatives who came to mourn all said I was fortunate. Old Jiang and his wife saved the only son of the Shen family. Though they're gone, this child will never want for food or clothing in the future. TSK, this little girl is so lucky. Her biological parents were just the Shen family's driver and nanny, but now that she's saved her masters, her future life will surely be smooth sailing. How enviable. She transformed from a country bumpkin into a phoenix overnight. Not like my girl, destined to live a wretched life. Amidst the chorus of admiration, only I hid in the corner, clutching a stuffed rabbit in a daze. It was the gift my parents had promised to bring me before they left. The rabbit came back, but they put it in a box. My tears fell without warning, one by one hitting the ground, until the man named Shannon appeared. I knelt before him, my cheek pressed against the cold floor, pleading desperately, "I don't want to be a phoenix, just bring Mom and Dad back." He clumsily wiped away my tears, his reddened eyes filled with guilt. "Starting today, let me be your family, okay? I'll give you all the love, just like Uncle Jiang and Aunt Jiang did. I'll give you a home again." Shannon succeeded. He gave me an almost biased affection, surpassing even what he showed his own sister, to help me overcome the grief of losing my parents. He spent all his time after work accompanying me. He even brought me back to the Shen family, making me a part of it. Yet, his biological sister, Xiaonian, despised me. "You should have died with your parents. How dare you steal my brother? How dare you move into my house?" She screamed hysterically, kicking and punching me, who had suddenly appeared in her home. Xiaonian threw all my belongings out, and in the chaos, the photo of me with my parents shattered into pieces. "This is my home with my brother, you're not allowed to stay." She lifted her chin arrogantly and pointed imperiously at the door, ordering me to leave. No sooner had she spoken than Shannon struck her hard across the face. Under Xiaonian's disbelieving gaze, he turned his face away with difficulty, his voice hoarse. "Xiaonian, who gave you permission to make a scene, apologized to Wanwan." He forced Xiaonian to follow him in apologizing to me and picked up the shattered photo frame from the ground for me. He coaxed me softly. "It's Xiaonian's fault. I'll teach her a proper lesson. Big brother is on your side." Yet I clearly saw that the hand which had delivered the slap was trembling uncontrollably. "I actually understand everything. I'm just an orphan living under someone else's roof. I want to tell Xiaonian that I won't take her home away from her, nor will I steal her brother's love. I'm just staying here temporarily, because no relatives are willing to take in a burden like me." But when I reached the door, I didn't dare take another step. A pained voice came from Shun, and as he carefully applied medicine to his sister's cheek, gently blowing on it, Xiaonian nestled in his arms and cried, "Brother, you've never hit me since we were little. Just because she lost her family, does that mean she gets to take mine away? I don't want that. Can you make her leave?" He sighed helplessly. "Brother's life was saved by Uncle Jiang and Aunt Jiang after all. If we don't take care of her, our Shen family will be criticized. Be good, Xiaonian. We'll just raise her until she's 18 and then let her go." Okay, your brother's only family, my most beloved little sister. Shun Yan snorted petulantly, clamoring for her brother to ignore Jiang Wanwan. The man's soft coaxing buzzed incessantly in my ear, like muffled thunder wrapped in cotton, indistinct and unclear. It made me mistake him for father. Before I turned 10, he too would often lift me up to fly through the air, calling me his only daughter, his most cherished treasure. I ate cautiously, went to school, and secretly hugged my plush bunny to cry at night. I avoided Shun Yan. But Shunan hoped I could get along well with her. Nyan has been spoiled by us since she was little. You're a year older than her. You're her sister. Could you be more tolerant of her? His palm was truly warm. I nodded stiffly, drowning in his love that I knew was feigned, unwilling to leave. But my stepsister still couldn't stand me. I became her on-call servant. Aunt Shun was just our family's maid, meant to serve me. Now that your mother's dead, it's your turn. If you don't obey me, I'll kick you out of my house. It wasn't until she made me light a fire, only to play with it and burn herself, that the entire garage went up in flames. She threw the lit lighter into the pile of fuel tanks without hesitation, tilting her head back defiantly. If my brother finds out you burned his favorite car, let's see how you'll explain yourself. Better yet, I hope he hates you to death, kicks a bad kid like you out. But she underestimated the terror of gasoline. Flames instantly surged upward, engulfing everything. Shun Yan was completely stunned. She burst into terrified sobs, but the garage door had already been tightly shut by her. I was sweating profusely from anxiety, dragging my leg burned by the fierce flames to find a fire extinguisher, only to faint unconscious. I woke up again. Shun Yan turned into a corpse without hair or skin. All I remember is that the sun was scorching that day. Yet my entire body felt icy cold. A wave of immense panic washed over me, and I curled up on the ground, trembling uncontrollably. Time crawled by like a snail, each minute and second suffocatingly slow. Would Shunan hate me for failing to watch over his sister? Hate me for taking his family away from him? I didn't dare cry, forcing the tears to pool in my eyes with all my might. Shun Yan was covered with a white cloth and carried away, yet Shunan knelt before me. He said, "Xiao Nyan is gone. Will you be my little sister instead?" The tears in my eyes finally couldn't be held back any longer and streamed down. He held me in his arms, his voice unbearably gentle. "From now on, we're family." I nestled in his arms like a silly fool. At that moment, I truly believed we would become family. Shunan was the brother I could rely on. Mom and Dad, look, Taiwan will never be mocked as an orphan again. I envy Shun Yan. Mom and Dad are very busy with work. They spend less time with me than they do with the Shun siblings. As the late-born daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Shun, Shun Yan is the undisputed little princess of the family. After their parents passed away, her elder brother doted on her even more, treating her like a precious treasure. She could act willfully without restraint, throwing unreasonable tantrums, and even when she did something wrong, she had the audacity to stand her ground. But at an age when parental companionship was missing, I was always afraid of causing them any trouble. Now, Shunan says he wants to be my brother. Will he treat me the same way he treats Shun Yan? A strange, shadowy glee quietly emerged, like flowers stealing life underground, making my heart pound wildly. I couldn't help but despise myself. I'm utterly wicked. How could I be happy about stealing someone else's brother? I moved into the room closest to Shunan. He meticulously wakes me up, personally takes me to school, and cares about every little thing in my school life. He even buys me clothes regularly and brings me gifts when he's on business trips. It feels like I've completely become a part of the family, his own little sister. More than once, I've secretly felt happy, gazing at my parents' photo frame with a blissful, silly smile. I have a new home now, and my brother is very kind to me. I feel like I've truly become Shun Yan. Even though my appearance is completely different from Shun Yan's, I can't dance or play the piano. Even though I've noticed my brother becoming increasingly strange, he would suddenly call me out to practice piano, playing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star over and over again. This is your favorite piano piece, and also the first song your brother taught you. Do you still remember? Under his gentle gaze, I struggled to maintain the stiff smile on my face. At the dinner table, he kept putting carrots into my bowl repeatedly. "You love carrots the most, eat more." But that was my most hated dish. After stuffing it into my mouth haphazardly, I felt so sick I wanted to spit it out. Looking up, I saw my brother's face instantly darken, his eyes fixed intently on me. Only after I swallowed it again did a smile appear on my brother's face, time and time again. I always thought he was just used to it, used to his sister playing the piano, loving carrots, and skipping as she walked. So I studied with all my might, molding myself into Shenyan's image. I understood his pain all too well, silently enduring it with guilt and dark anticipation. I just hoped that one day he would realize the sister by his side was me. I genuinely wanted my brother's love, to become family with him. But I was completely mistaken. How could a stranger treat me as his closest person for no reason? Even until the day I died, I had no idea. The brother I sincerely called for 10 years actually hated me all along. On the day I was hit and killed by a car, my fiancé Cheng Yufeng finally appeared. He was Shenyan's childhood sweetheart and also the person who despised me the most. For 10 years, no matter how hard I tried to please him, he never truly accepted me in his heart, if it weren't for Xiaoyan's death. How could someone like you, a daughter of a maid, ever become my fiancé? Shannon must be out of his mind, actually raising you as his own sister. Now, faced with my corpse, he simply turned his head away. She's had the advantage of occupying Xiaoyan's identity for so many years. It's been quite a bargain for her. Yet my brother just stood there dumbfounded. Getting hit by a car would have been quick, but to be burned alive, how excruciating it must have been for Xiaoyan. She was always the one most afraid of pain, the one who cared most about her looks. Even the tiniest scratch would have her throwing a tantrum at me. So unbearably delicate. It's my fault too. I spoiled her for 11 years. Yet when Jiang Wanwan came along, I neglected her feelings. She probably still resented me when she died. He casually dumped me by the roadside, and after holding back for a long time, he finally let out a mocking laugh. But his words were more chilling than the deepest ocean abyss. "Actually, you must be quite pleased to have taken Xiaoyan's place, aren't you? What a pity. In my eyes, you'll never compare to my real sister." How ridiculous, to have shamelessly called me brother for 10 years. Without hesitation, he turned and left, driving straight to Shenyan's cemetery. As for Cheng Yufeng, he simply made a call to arrange the aftermath, unwilling to spare another glance. The onlookers whispered among themselves, "How come no one has come to claim this young girl's body?" One relative after another arrives only to leave. She must have been a wicked person in life, committing countless misdeeds. Let's stay far away to avoid bad luck. Indeed, so young. What could she have done to be so detestable that even in death no one wants to look at her? Yes, how utterly tiresome it must be, to not even want to see each other after death. At that moment, faith crumbled with a deafening roar. My corpse seemed to plunge into the dust, taking with it the last shreds of dignity and decency, vanishing without a trace. Can souls cry too? Otherwise, how do I feel tears falling again? 06. I thought I had already died, but I never expected, in utter despair. I unexpectedly returned to 10 years ago, on the day Shenyan played with fire and got burned. Listening to Shunan's terrified shouts outside the door, I mustered my fading consciousness, grabbed Shenyan's hand, and pushed her out. The collapsed building cut off my path to survival. I fell completely, in a daze. Beside me, Shunan was holding his younger sister, weeping uncontrollably. Before my eyes was the scene of my parents lifting me up. So this is what true family looks like. Only true family will love you unconditionally and without expecting anything in return. Yet why did it take me so long to understand this truth? The scorching flames dried up my tears. The word brother vanished completely from my world along with those tears. In this second chance at life, I didn't succeed in dying. The debris that fell from the roof burned away nearly all the skin on my right leg. The smell of disinfectant was overwhelming, and I tightly shut my eyes, enduring the sting in my nose. I couldn't stop feeling annoyed. Mom and Dad both came to pick me up, so why didn't they take me away? Yet the sharp pain in my leg dragged me back to reality. Shenyan's sobbing sounds began. I didn't mean to. I just wanted to teach Jiang Wanwan a lesson, to make brother dislike her. I didn't mean to harm her." As she spoke, she threw another tantrum. "Ever since she came, brother hasn't paid any attention to me." Shannon let out a sigh. "It was my fault. I'll take good care of our Xiao Nian from now on." Shen Nian looked at me lying on the hospital bed with one leg exposed, covering her eyes in disgust. "Her leg is so ugly, all black and dark. What if she wakes up and tries to take revenge on me? I don't want to be taken to the police station." Shannon couldn't help but chuckle at her childish words. "Don't worry, big brother will protect you," he murmured. "It's just a burned leg, but my sister lost her life completely." Under Shen Nian's puzzled gaze, he affectionately ruffled his younger sister's hair. "Hurry and follow the doctor for a physical checkup. Let's see if there are any other injuries." The ward was now devoid of Shen Nian's playful laughter and antics, yet his voice rang out with unusual clarity. "How could the child of a nanny and a driver ever compare to my own dear sister? Shannon, the pillow seems a bit wet. Clearly, it was him who once promised to give me a home and love me forever, and now it's also him who calls me worthless and wishes I'd vanish from this world. Shannon, if you don't want me as your sister anymore, then I don't want to be one either." I struggled to open my eyes, meeting Shannon's gaze. Under his fierce stare, the next moment, I spoke blankly. "Who are you?" Shannon was momentarily stunned and instinctively replied, "What did you say?" I shook my head vigorously, as if suddenly remembering something, and looked up at him. Young Master Shan. Where are my mom and dad?" The air seemed to suddenly fall silent. Shannon almost fled in panic. He had thought of 100 ways to deal with Jiang Wanwan after she woke up. He could raise her as the servant's daughter at home and have her do chores, or he could find her a place outside and hire a nanny to take care of her. As long as she could be raised until she turned 18, any method would do. He even thought that the first thing he would do when Jiang Wanwan woke up was to forbid her from calling him brother, lest Xiao Nian throw a tantrum. But he never imagined Jiang Wanwan would lose her memory. He rushed to confront the doctor. The doctor said she had been hit on the head by a heavy object, causing a blood clot in her brain, and it was likely she had forgotten some painful memories. How could he bring it up? Her parents had toiled for the Shen family half their lives, only to lose their lives saving him. Even with her last breath, Aunt Shen gasped out her final plea, kneeling on the ground begging him to take care of her only daughter. Shannon's face turned deathly pale. He hadn't anticipated Jiang Wanwan's transformation. Even the repeated calls of young master and her indifferent gaze left him utterly disconcerted. Yet in the past, when she called him brother, her eyes had been filled with nothing but reliance. After Shannon returned, he explained our parents' situation to me. He couldn't help but ask, "Will you be scared living alone from now on?" I forced back tears and flashed him a smile. "It's all right, young master. I've lived alone often before anyway. Mom and Dad always said, Wanwan is the bravest." I could clearly see the conflict in his eyes, but chose not to expose it. Shen Nian disliked me and had long wanted me out of the Shen household in this second chance at life. Shannon had barely emerged from the joy of getting his sister back and, fearing I might usurp her place as the Shen family's young lady, naturally wouldn't take me back either. I indifferently lowered my eyelids. "Anyway, I don't want to get close to the Jiang family anymore. Once my leg heals, I'll return to my mother's hometown and completely leave their world behind." But Shannon couldn't stand my indifferent attitude and quickly spoke with a furrowed brow. "I'll be your guardian and take care of you until you come of age, even until you graduate from university. As for bringing you back to the Shen family, it wouldn't be impossible to raise you as a servant's child." He stiffly reached out his hand to touch me, but I instinctively dodged. "No need, young master. We're not related by blood. This isn't appropriate." I stared into his eyes and threw his own words back at him, unchanged. "Besides, I know my place. Just a daughter of a nanny and driver. Unworthy of eating and living with you." Shannon withdrew his hand in frustration, his expression turning grim. "Suit yourself." His retreating figure was seething with anger, his tone sharp. "I don't understand. Isn't this what he wanted? Now that I've taken the initiative to say I don't need him to take responsibility, why is he angry again? After my parents' accident, not a single relative from the Jiang family was willing to take me in. But I never expected that my uncle from my mother's side would come looking for me. I was completely baffled. In my past life, my uncle clearly had no knowledge of my parents' passing. From what I remember, my uncle's family was poor, yet they still managed to support 2 older brothers through college. Mom had also married far away, and with my parents demanding jobs, they rarely even took holidays, let alone had chances to meet. My memories of my uncle's family consist only of the sweet potatoes they mailed across thousands of miles during holidays and the soft, sticky rice we'd eat. How did he manage to find his way to the hospital now? Seeing my uncle's kind yet anxious expression, I couldn't stop shedding tears. It was as if I had suddenly met a family member, and all my grievances couldn't help but pour out, seeing me like this. My uncle swallowed the harsh words on the tip of his tongue and couldn't help but cry with me, scolding me, "You silly girl, hiding such a big thing from me. If someone hadn't informed him, he would still be kept in the dark. Does the wound hurt? Don't cry. Once you're better, Uncle will take you home. No matter how old you are, I'll take care of you." I nodded vigorously, tears turning to laughter. My uncle looked at my sunken cheeks with heartache. "You've lost weight, haven't you? Is it because you're short on money? Have you paid the medical bills yet? Let your uncle help you." Before he could finish speaking, the hospital room door was abruptly pushed open. Shenyan stood with her arms crossed. "Jiang Wanwan, why do you have so many poor relatives coming to ask for money? You wouldn't dare drain our family's money and still shamelessly cling to staying in my house, would you?" She tugged at Shenan's sleeve. "Brother, I told you Jiang Wanwan's whole family are shameless leeches, but you wouldn't believe me." Shenan's expression darkened as well. After Uncle Jiang and Aunt Jiang passed away, every relative with even the slightest connection shamelessly came asking about the compensation money. The whole extended family had nothing but ill intentions. Just when they thought they had gotten rid of one group, another showed up. Seeing how shabby his clothes were, he was definitely here to play the victim and ask for money. Shannon couldn't hide his disgust as he spoke. "Jiang Wanwan, you should know when to stop asking for money. You're still so young, yet your mind is so calculating. I've already given you a full 10 million and promised to support you until adulthood. What, do you still want to become a Miss Shin and claim a share of the family fortune?" I was somewhat taken aback. Where did the 10 million come from? "I haven't seen a single cent." The disgust in Shannon's eyes deepened. He hadn't expected me to be not only insatiably greedy but also a liar. "Stop pretending. I clearly left you a card with 10 million. I looked at Shenyan's evasive gaze beside me and suddenly understood. I'm afraid even my uncle's arrival was arranged by Shenyan. Thinking they would come to demand money, I pointed to the corner. "Isn't there surveillance over there? You can check who actually took that card. I've never taken a single penny from you, and I won't trouble you in the future. In fact, I'll soon leave this district and head to the distant south, young master. You can rest assured." Shannon couldn't help but laugh angrily. How had he never noticed Jiang Wanwan's stubbornness before? "When you finally admit defeat, that's when I'll bring you back to the Shin family." Was he so certain that I was desperate to return to the Shin family? Over these 10 years, was it me who couldn't move on, or was it him? I spent a month recuperating in the hospital, and during that entire time, I never saw Shannon again. It seemed he truly meant those words, that he would take me back to the Shin family only when I admitted defeat. Yet on the day I was discharged from the hospital, I went straight to school to withdraw, limping. I completed the procedures with my uncle. By the time I returned to the classroom to pack my things, school had already let out. The students in this school are all either wealthy or noble, making me the only one who stands out like a sore thumb. When Mrs. Shun was alive, she arranged for my parents to be closer to their child so they wouldn't have to take frequent leave. Out of sheer benevolence, she sent me to this school. Because of Shun Yan, everyone knows I'm the daughter of the Shun family's nanny and chauffeur. On the day I transferred schools, she boldly barged into the entrance of my classroom. "Hey, the new girl in your class, Jiang Wanwan, is the daughter of my family's maid and driver. Feel free to order her around. Her mother is a housekeeper, so she must be good at everything. Maybe she even enjoys it." She stood there arrogantly, as if I were a slave without dignity, at everyone's mercy. amidst a burst of mocking laughter, I could only clutch my tattered little backpack and shrink into my seat. Yet, Mom and Dad were endlessly grateful to the Shen family for this, urging me to study hard at this top-tier school with exceptional educational resources. But they didn't know. My desk wasn't for books, it was perpetually littered with their trash. Even during breaks, I couldn't rest. I was at the beck and call of these young masters and mistresses. I even had to do homework assignments 10 times over. Throughout elementary school, I tried my best to make myself invisible in class. But in their eyes, poverty was the original sin, and the daughter of a maid and a driver was inherently inferior. Perhaps this is why I envied Shenyan so much, even when Shannon said those words. "Would you like to be my little sister?" She was overjoyed, so overjoyed that she couldn't see reality clearly. Now, seeing that I hadn't come to school for a month and was even preparing to pack up and leave, all the young masters and misses who used to rush off after school crowded around me. "Hey, servant, I heard your parents died. Guess you can't even afford school now. Ha 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 ha. Don't leave. Who's gonna copy homework for me if you go? It's just 100,000 tuition. My family can pay it for you." I packed my things expressionlessly. "Move." I limped out, only for Shenyan to block my path in the hallway. "Jiang Wanwan, wasn't this admission spot something your parents begged for on their knees? How could you bear to leave?" Seeing that I didn't respond, she seemed to feel provoked and pushed me angrily in frustration. Startled, I didn't have time to brace myself. The next second, I lost my balance completely, and my injured right leg slammed heavily onto the ground, sending a tearing pain through me. I was in so much pain that I was dazed, trembling uncontrollably all over, my face deathly pale. Shenyan was also somewhat panicked. "Hey, if you're pretending to be dead, then pretend. But don't you dare report this to my brother." "Got it." As soon as the words were spoken, Shannon's cold, stern voice rang out. "What happened?" Shenyan immediately ran over and grabbed her brother's arm, saying anxiously, "Nothing happened. She insisted on leaving school, and we couldn't persuade her otherwise." I struggled to stand up with the help of my crutches, covered in cold sweat from the pain. "My uncle is still waiting for me at the school gate." I hadn't gone far when Shannon tightly grabbed my wrist. "What do you mean? Where are you going?" "Jiang Wanwan, you've got guts, haven't you? How dare you make decisions without my permission? Have you forgotten that your parents are dead? No one can help you except me." I couldn't help but look up at him. "So, is it because I don't have parents that you dare to bully me like this?" I glared at him fiercely, my heart feeling as if it were being squeezed by an invisible hand. "But who would want to be without parents? I don't want that." I pointed at Shenyan, who stood by without a trace of guilt. She's the precious pearl cradled in the palms of her family, too delicate to be wronged. While I'm just supposed to endure everyone's contempt, is that it? Seeing the redness in my eyes, Shannon couldn't help but feel a tremor in his heart. He opened his mouth, but couldn't utter a word. The one who caused me to lose my parents was clearly him. I took a deep breath. I said I don't need you, and I mean it. I didn't need you before, I don't need you now, and I won't need you in the future. So, can I leave now, young master? The last 2 words fell heavily. I pleaded with him. Unwilling to have this brother anymore, unwilling to struggle bitterly in the invisible pretense of familial affection. He wasn't wrong for loving his own sister, nor was he wrong for believing I had taken Shenyan's place. It's only me who's wrong, being wishful from start to finish, so I choose to stay away. "But why do you keep bothering me again and again?" "Shenyan is like this, and so is her brother." Shannon suddenly found it hard to breathe. He had never felt the term young master so grating before, even though the servants at home had been calling him that for over 20 years. He began to miss the way Jiang Wanwan called him brother. Her eyes always sparkled when she said it. She longed for his approval, so she always went out of her way to please him and cater to his every whim. But Shannon was never satisfied. Every time he heard her call him brother, it only reminded him of his deceased younger sister. Gradually, he began to resent her, even if he knew Jiang Wanwan hadn't done anything wrong. In fact, over the past 10 years, with Jiang Wanwan by his side, he seemed to have grown accustomed to her presence. His voice choked slightly, forcing him to change the subject. "Your leg injury hasn't healed yet. Let me take you home first, and we'll talk about school matters later. I avoided his touch. No need, I'm just the daughter of a nanny and driver. I don't deserve to stay at your Shin family's place, in front of so many parents and teachers. I didn't give him a way out. Shannon was somewhat annoyed. Do you really dare to throw a tantrum in front of me, Jiang Wanwan? I've already given you a chance. If you don't come back with me this time, don't ever come begging me. What answered him was my resolute turn away. Shin Yan made a face at my retreating figure. Brother. Look at her. She doesn't seem to care at all, as if we're the ones who need her. Shannon's face darkened as he took his sister's hand. Since others don't appreciate it, let's go home. He turned around without hesitation. Little did he know that the two who parted ways might never meet again in this lifetime. My uncle and I took the fastest flight back to my mother's hometown, Nancheng. On the way, I couldn't help but express my concern. Uncle, we could have taken the train. The plane tickets are so expensive, and it was even business class. My uncle shook his head. Silly girl, your brothers started their own business and made a lot of money this year. He choked up several times as he spoke. I was thinking that Mid-Autumn Festival is coming soon, and I'd come to the Jing family to see you all, so our family could celebrate the reunion holiday together. Now, only you have come back. On the plane, my uncle kept chattering away, telling me amusing stories from my mother's childhood. Your mother was capable from a young age. Farming, raising chickens, nothing was beyond her. She got things done and had strong opinions. The bond between those siblings was second to none. I've always known how good Uncle was to Mom. Mom said she was able to attend high school entirely because of Uncle, who carried rice grain by grain to sell in town. How much could rice possibly be worth? So Uncle found every possible way to take odd jobs for others, tending to the crops in the fields while doing the hardest labor. For 3 whole years, in an era when the preference for sons over daughters was deeply ingrained, he never once said that girls shouldn't go to school. Even after he got married and had children of his own, no matter how tough times were, he would send money to his mother every 6 months, afraid she might be short on cash but unwilling to tell the family. Thinking of Mom makes me feel like crying. Mom is very busy with her work at the Shin household. Watching her carefully take care of Shin Yan, I would deliberately throw tantrums at her, even stopping her from going to work. Mom never says anything, yet she seems to understand my little thoughts. She held me in her arms. My good girl, taking care of the employer's child is just work, but you are the flesh that fell from Mommy's body. No matter how other children are, none can compare to you. Mommy's precious darling. As she spoke, she couldn't help but cry again. She knew she owed me, but she couldn't afford to lose her job no matter what, leaving me to live a life of hunger and cold. The moment the plane landed, I set foot on my mother's homeland for the second time, inexplicably moved to tears. From now on, it's a brand new life. The place where my mother once lived will surely give me more courage to strive for a better life. The air in the south is different from that in the north. A moist atmosphere lingers among the grasses and water plants, with small streams and arched bridges visible everywhere. The village's soil becomes soft and damp after the rain. I don't dislike it. Instead, I find everything somewhat novel. But when I returned to my uncle's house, I couldn't help but be stunned. I knew my brothers had made money from their startup, but I never imagined they'd made this much. In the entire surrounding area, only my uncle's family was building a new villa. That very evening, there was even a luxury car parked at the front door. 2 tall, long-legged men got out of the car, leaving me utterly stunned. Jiang Jinran rushed over and gave me a bear hug. This must be Wanwan's little sister, right? She's so adorable. He vigorously ruffled my hair. His eyes filled with tenderness as he looked at me. The other older brother, though not as enthusiastically lively as Jiang Jinran, was also looking at me with a smile. I quietly let out a sigh of relief, feeling a warmth in my heart. On my way here, I had been worried that my 2 brothers at home might not welcome me, or even think of me as a burden. After all, it had been so many years, and we had only met once when we were very young, mostly seen in cold, lifeless photographs. Lying in bed at night hugging the plush bunny, I could hardly believe it, recalling how my uncle and 2 older brothers competed to serve me dishes at the dinner table. Only then did I realize that love and happiness could be so effortlessly tangible. I dreamed so sweetly that after I fell asleep, I had another lovely dream with Mom and Dad. To make work and caring for Uncle easier, my eldest brother bought an apartment in the city. Originally, we planned to have Uncle move there for his retirement, but as he grew older, he always worried about the land back in the village. Now that I've arrived, Uncle moved without hesitation because I needed to attend school in the city. Since you all don't stay home, who's going to take care of our little girl? After arriving in the city, I officially began my life at the new school. Since I had already learned the material, I skipped grades and went straight to middle school. I thought I might be excluded in the new class, but unexpectedly, although everyone was shy, they took great care of me, and the teachers also looked out for me everywhere. I even became the class academic monitor because I scored nearly perfect marks in all subjects during the entrance exam. I suddenly realized, turns out, away from the Shen family and away from the capital city, it wasn't even raining outside. Just as I was filled with anticipation, thinking a new life was about to begin, Shannon actually traveled thousands of miles to find me. Shannon had never realized how excruciatingly slow time could pass. In the past, though he missed his deceased sister and parents, Jiang Wanwan would always divert his attention with trivial matters like how many new pieces she'd learned today, scoring full marks on tomorrow's exam, or making him taste her newly baked desserts. She never tired of pestering him endlessly. Even when facing troubles at work and being in an extremely bad mood, Jiang Wanwan would always find ways to cheer him up. She seemed to always clearly know all his tastes and preferences. As she grew up, she became skilled in cooking, achieved grade 10 in piano, and excelled academically, even gaining admission to the highly prestigious 985 university. Because of her excellence, she attracted many suitors, some of whom came from prominent families. Some even came to his company begging him to agree to be with Jiang Wanwan. Jiang Wanwan had grown up perfectly into the ideal image he had envisioned for his sister. So much so that when he came to his senses and realized they weren't blood-related, he was utterly furious. She had stolen the life that rightfully belonged to his real sister. Shannon waited a full week, and during that time, he had already made up his mind. He truly couldn't let go of Wanwan. And he would find a way to make Xiaonian accept her, even if she harbored greed, even if she wanted to become a member of the Shen family, he might not mind anymore. But for an entire week, he didn't see her at all. He even deliberately checked the surveillance at the villa's entrance, instructing the security guards to let her in if she came. But she never showed up. The hospital said she had already been discharged. The school also mentioned she had dropped out. Shannon belatedly realized that she genuinely seemed to want nothing to do with him anymore, so when she said she didn't need him that day, it wasn't just angry words after all. Shannon drove to Uncle Jiang's place, intending to bring her back so they could live properly together. He was willing to give her a way out, but to his utter surprise, the moment he mentioned Jiang Wanwan, Uncle Jiang and his wife immediately changed their expressions. "What are you talking about? What Jiang Wanwan? Isn't this child being raised by you?" Aunt Jiang gave him a shove. "You're not thinking of dumping this child on us to raise, are you? Damn it, my brother-in-law's family died saving you. What did you say when they died? You swore solemnly at their graves that you'd take care of Wanwan until she came of age. Don't tell me you're going back on your word now." Her voice grew louder and louder as she spoke, even wiping away tears. Neighbors who had any connection to the Jiang family came out, pointing fingers at him, afraid this responsibility would fall on their own heads. "We've got both elderly parents and young children to care for. Don't you dare dump this person on us. Look at him, dressed so respectably, running such a big company, yet unwilling to raise his savior's child. What a heartless beast." Shannon's face flushed crimson with anger. He had never experienced such disdain and insults in his entire life. One crude remark after another stabbed straight at his heart. He practically fled in panic. He didn't know that none of Jiang's relatives were willing to accept Jiang Wanwan. No wonder in her previous life, when he said he would give her a home and make her his real sister, she was so overjoyed. I had thought she was merely excited about becoming the young lady of the Shen group, with endless wealth and luxury awaiting her. But it turns out it was simply because she had no home left. The Shun family hired a new nanny and driver to take care of Shenyan. Shunan put aside his company work and lied to Shenyan, saying he needed to go on a business trip for a while. In reality, he had his assistant buy plane tickets to Nan City. As far as he knew, Jiang Wanwan, an orphan girl going to seek refuge with her uncle, would inevitably be looked down upon. As long as he says something nice and brings Wanwan back, she would probably be willing. After all, back when he had Wanwan call him brother, she was so happy. When Shunan came looking, second brother was picking me up from school. Holding his hand, I happily shared all the fun things that happened at school that day. As I walked out of the school gate, I saw Shunan leaning against his car, seeing me and second brother pulling and tugging at each other, with expressions more relaxed than ever before. His face didn't look too pleased. Jiang Wanwan, come back with me. Jiang Jinran was extremely displeased. Who the hell are you? Why are you calling my sister? He walked over and grabbed my wrist, trying to stay patient. I'm here to take you home. I irritably shook off his hand and pointed at my second brother. Can't you see, this is my second brother. I have a family now. I had no idea he was such a troublesome person, bothering me over and over again. Where was he during those 10 years when I was desperately trying to please him? On the day I died, when I used my last ounce of strength to try to keep him? Where was he then? And where was he when Shen Nan framed me for injuring my leg? I wanted so badly to build a good home for us. But he never cared, even blaming Shen Yan's death on me. But it was Shen Yan who tried to kill me. My most sincere heart was brutally trampled under his feet, and now he tells me he wants to take me home. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Someone once said the same thing to me. He knelt before me, promising to give me so much love, to give me a new family, to treat me as his own sister. And guess how it ended? He called me shameless, saying a life like mine, born to a driver and a nanny, was worthless to the core. Watching his expression shift from disbelief to a face drained of color inch by inch, a mischievous urge suddenly took hold of me. Tell me, who is that person? Shunan's steps involuntarily retreated, his heart uncontrollably pounded wildly, his mind seemingly unable to think. He parted his lips, but suddenly couldn't utter a single sound. A truth surfaced in his mind. Each revelation felt like a needle piercing deeper, inch by inch. I smiled instead. Brother, I never lost my memory. In fact, I know everything about you, because, just like you, I've started over, and this time, you chose to abandon me, while I chose to begin anew in a different way. Actually, I've long since let go, but there's still this lingering resentment in my heart, stubbornly wanting to vent. You're not wrong, and neither am I. It's just unfortunate that two people who've both lost their closest kin could foolishly hope to become family to each other without any reservations. And the truth is, I can't be your little sister, and you're not my brother. Go back, since heaven has given us a chance to start over. Take good care of your sister. I too have found family who cherish and love me dearly. We still have time, and no mistakes have been made yet. Shunan's eyes were red-rimmed, and he shook his head involuntarily. It's hard to believe that our paths will never cross again. No, brother genuinely wants to bring you home. We can become a proper family. I've checked everything. Although your uncle's two sons succeeded in starting their own business this year, it's just a small company. How can it compare to the Shun Group? In my past life, I didn't take good care of you. As long as you're willing to come back, brother will hold a banquet to officially introduce you as our Shun family's adopted daughter. Since I promised your parents I'd take care of you, I won't go back on my word. Second brother listened to our conversation utterly confused, but that didn't stop him from wanting to hurry me home for dinner. Otherwise his dad would start nagging again. He wrapped his arm around my shoulder. Stop all this chattering, it's deafeningly noisy. Wanwan, Dad's calling us home for dinner. If we're late, he'll take it out on me. You'll be fine, but have some pity on your brother, won't you? He walked a few steps, then turned back and spat twice. Who the hell are you calling a small company? My brothers and my company is doing just fine. At the very least, we can afford to support my sister. Get the hell back to your hole. You've got shit for eyes. I couldn't help but laugh out loud, grabbing hold of my second brother, afraid his temper might flare up and lead to a fight between them. I waved at Shunan with a relaxed smile. Goodbye, my former brother. Let's each find our own peace. The early autumn wind carried raindrops with a hint of coolness. Some leaves had already fallen. Autumn is always the season with the deepest sense of parting in textbooks, holding my second brother's hand. We met our eldest brother returning home from work on the way. In my uncle's words, we are a new family. Thus came autumn. It is also the season when all things fall silent. Preparing for rebirth in the coming year. Postscript, Shannon. Shannon returned alone to the Shun residence. The Shun family villa was eerily quiet. Shun Yan had gone out to play with friends. He sat alone in the living room when memories of his past life suddenly surfaced. Every time he returned from a business trip, Jiang Wanwan would personally prepare a bowl of sweet soup for him. She thoughtfully asked if he was tired, whether his business trip went smoothly, and if anything happy happened along the way. He seemed to have grown accustomed to this feeling upon returning home, occasionally even finding her annoying. But now everything felt cold and distant. For a moment, it seemed he began to miss it again. Shun Yan was driven home by the chauffeur and rushed over excitedly the moment she saw him, holding out her hands. "Brother, where's my gift?" He froze for a moment. Bringing back gifts from business trips had always been Shun Yan's exclusive privilege. He had never gotten anything for Jiang Wanwan. A full decade had passed, and it had already become muscle memory, so much so that he actually forgot his younger sister had already returned home. "This trip was a bit rushed. I didn't have time to buy gifts. I'll make it up to you next time." But Shun Yan wouldn't let it go. "Brother, how could you do this? I already promised Qianqian I'd show her the gifts you bought. I even told her it was a limited edition. Now there's nothing left. She'll definitely spread rumors in front of my classmates. Where does that leave my dignity?" Shannon felt a headache coming on and unconsciously furrowed his brows. "Be good, Xiao Nian. Your brother is really tired right now. Okay, can you listen? Brother, you're actually scolding me. I don't like you anymore." Shen Yan ran away crying and making a scene. Shannon only felt a throbbing pain in his temples. A deep sense of exhaustion surged up, and he found himself inexplicably irritated by this overwhelming emotion. Shannon noticed that his younger sister was asking for more and more pocket money. Once, she even secretly bought diamond hairpins worth nearly 10 million behind his back. Although the Shun family was wealthy and doted on her, they weren't the type of extravagant rich family. On the contrary, they placed great emphasis on frugality. Her monthly allowance was only 10,000, and any expensive items were purchased by his assistant under his instructions. It's unprecedented for someone to buy diamond accessories worth 10 million yuan in one go like this. Shannon's expression was extremely serious. "Xiao Nian, tell me honestly, did you steal money?" This was the first time Shen Yan had seen her brother look so grim, leaving her both frightened and distressed. "I didn't steal." Shannon was so angry that he immediately threw things. "You didn't steal? Then where did your things come from? What did our parents teach you before? You've even learned to lie." Shen Yan was frightened into tears, shrinking his shoulders and sobbing, no longer daring to hide the truth. "It was me who took the card you gave to Jiang Wanwan and used it. You've never given me this much allowance. Why should she get it? I just won't allow it. I can't stand her." Shannon felt his vision darken. Turns out, she really didn't take that 10 million in compensation. She truly was as she claimed. She wanted nothing from him and owed him nothing. Later, Shen Yan somehow became increasingly unreasonable. She became increasingly eccentric and rebellious. Her attempts to please him were merely for money. He hired someone to investigate her. But unexpectedly, it was discovered that despite her young age, she had bullied dozens of classmates, especially Jiang Wanwan. Shen Yan took the lead in isolating her at school, making sure everyone knew she was the daughter of a nanny and chauffeur, someone to be ordered around. Now in middle school, she carries herself like a gang leader, constantly forming cliques and factions at school. Recently, it seems she's even started dating the school bully. He never knew any of this. His own sister turned out to be utterly wicked behind his back, completely different from what he had imagined. She should have been just like Jiang Wanwan from his past life. He couldn't understand where things had gone wrong. After entering high school, Shen Yan turned 16. The Cheng family, who had arranged a childhood betrothal for Shen Jiao since she was young, came to break off the engagement. Looking at Shun Nianran's dyed purple hair and her midriff-bearing outfit, Madame Cheng didn't even want to sit for long. The betrothal was decided by the older generation back then. Now that the children are grown, we parents and elders can't dictate their marriages. It's better to sever this engagement now to avoid resentment from them in the future. She returned the Shun family's betrothal jade pendant. I see your Xiaonian has also found someone at school and looks down on our Yu Qian. Shunan knew full well what his sister had been like all these years and naturally had no face to make excuses. Shun Yan could clearly hear the sarcasm in Madame Cheng's words and rolled her eyes outright. Who would want to be with your son? Do you really think he's some kind of hot commodity? Shameless. Chen Yuqian crossed his legs arrogantly and retorted angrily, who would want someone like you, a worn-out shoe? There are plenty of decent girls in this world. Who acts as recklessly as you just because your family has a bit of money. I'd rather pick someone random off the street than have a worthless woman like you as my fiancé. The scene of breaking off the engagement became extremely awkward. Shannon suddenly felt somewhat dazed. He remembered how Cheng Yuqian had been just as aggressive when Wanwan died in his previous life. What's different is that Cheng's father and mother exceptionally adore Wanwan. Time's knife seems to have stabbed back again. He felt extremely weary. Shenyan. I'll arrange your transfer to another school. That boy, you're not allowed to see him anymore. Shenyan casually spat out her chewing gum. It's none of your business what I do. Who I'm with is my freedom, and it's not your place to interfere. Don't you understand that relationships are free in today's society? Stop meddling in everything. Watching Shenyan's retreating figure, he couldn't understand why their sibling relationship had come to this point. Clearly, it shouldn't be like this. The tickets flying to South City have almost piled up to 10. For so many years, Shannon secretly went to see her every year. Wanwan's appearance wasn't much different from her previous life. The only difference is that she loves to laugh, and her friends always enjoy being around her. He watched her graduate from middle school and then high school. She even scored high enough in the college entrance exams to meet the admission standards for Tsinghua and Peking University. The top universities in the country. The moment he learned about her college entrance exam results, an unprecedented surge of joy welled up inside him. He always believed they would have another chance to meet again, as long as she came to study at Jing University, even if just for those 4 years of college. He would find ways to mend their relationship. He deliberately purchased a property near Tsinghua and Peking University so he could bring her to live there. He would let her see his sincerity. Care for her again, and be her brother once more, but there wasn't. The beautiful future he imagined did not come true. Wanwan did not come to Jingsha. She gave up her admission to Tsinghua and Peking University and chose Zhongda, which was closest to Nancheng. Perhaps for her, the place where her dearest and most beloved family lived was worth her longing. Her family treats her very well. Her 2 older brothers shower her with affection, doing hundreds, thousands of times better than him. He watched Wanwan shine brilliantly in university, excelling academically and smoothly progressing with her research projects, earning her postgraduate recommendation qualification early on. She was never short of suitors around her. Taiwan seems to have truly become the most dazzling star. She also helped her 2 brothers continuously improve the company's performance. Everyone around her always seems particularly happy. This happiness could have belonged to him. Looking at her bright and cheerful demeanor, a surge of bitterness welled up inside him. He suddenly felt like crying, missing his sister Taiwan dearly, yet all he could do was turn and walk away. The plane ascended back into the high skies, marking the arrival of autumn once again. But days without Taiwan were just too lonely. That's all for today's story. If you've listened this far, please leave happy every day in the comments. A little light wishes everyone happiness every day.